Hi, everybody. Hassan Shariq, regulated Canadian immigration consultant, back with our live weekly session on Canadian immigration, which I've not been able to do for a lot of weeks now for a variety of reasons, but I'm back. I posted a video on social media wherein I did mention that I will be back and I will be posting more and more social videos. I'll be going live regularly. So I am trying to continue with the promise that I made. Sorry, I have a bit of a sore throat, so I might not sound all that great, but that doesn't matter. I have to talk about Canadian immigration. I believe I am already, as I'm not a techie, so this happens. But I think I'm going live on all the forums. There are a few questions. I'll take up the questions. Anybody who joins the session, you're more than welcome to post your questions, and then I'll try and answer those questions. Just a few updates. So for since the beginning of this year, 2021, we saw that there has been a pause on the federal skilled worker draws, and that's a major question. And I know the audience that I have on my social media platforms, a lot of you are interested in the FSWP program. And I see Ali Malik has a question as well. So I'll just put that on the screen. So Ali has a question that if there is a possibility of FSWP draws, we will talk about that. Iron Man has a question. What's the fate of in-process COPRs, coppers, confirmation of permanent residence? Please, getting really frustrated. Yes, let's discuss that as well. Sumit. So Sumit has a question. Why existing FSWP applications are not being finalized even after lifting the travel restrictions? Have RCAC members taken this issue with the government of Canada or at any other forum? Good question. Okay. So let's begin. And let's take these things sequentially. I do understand that a lot of people out there who've applied, who are part of the express entry pool, are in a very, very frustrating situation. So first of all, and it was mentioned over here that Sumit mentioned that travel restrictions have been lifted. So why that no further processing is done? So yes, if you are an FSWP applicant, your processing at this time is very slow. And whereas we see that right now the applications that we have for Canadian Experience Class, those applications are being processed very quickly. In some instances, 2 to 3 months. Till now, the reason was that there are travel restrictions, and a lot of these applications are stuck somewhere. In most instances, because these applications are processed outside of Canada, where you have different Canadian high commissions and posts, and staff has to do a lot of processing over there. And even till date, not all the Canadian diplomatic staff who are looking at different visa processing stuff, they've not been sent back in full capacity as it was pre-COVID. Things are changing, and we are seeing that now the processing has started becoming a little more quick. But keep in mind, a lot of staff which was outside of Canada, posted at various posts, is still working remotely. And because of that, there are issues in terms of the processing ability. So keep that in mind. Sumit, as you asked, why processing hasn't really taken up to the speed even after lifting the travel restrictions. So yes, one good news that is there for everybody is that the COPR holders who've had their COPRs granted after March 2020, who had a travel ban and were not allowed to land, and there were remedicals and all that, they've been allowed to land. Now, this is the first step. Now, these are people whose processing has already happened, and they can land. Excuse me. As I mentioned, I have a sore throat, so this might happen. But as I've mentioned this in my videos as well, that first of all, those COPR holders who already have the COPRs, they will be brought in, and then the next step is that the Canadian High Commission or visa post staff who are working remotely, a lot of them have to be repatriated back to those countries, and then we might see the processing of federal skilled worker program applicants take up the speed as it was previously. Right now, in all honesty, I don't expect the outland applications to be processed at a priority at all. And that's my opinion. That's from what we know. Sumit mentioned that have RCIC members taken. So Sumit, this is something that we keep communicating, and it's not that we've not. But keep in mind that for us, even domestic applicants who are in Canada, that's for a lot of RCICs, that's the main clientele, and also Immigration Canada will have, it's a government department, and it will look at the priorities that the federal government and other provincial governments have in terms of the health and safety measures. So by no means can somebody push the government that you have to start processing these applicants. um, there is COVID is something which is beyond anybody's control, and nobody had planned that this would happen. So that's why these measures are being taken, and the public health and safety, and the safety of people who are already in Canada, that is the foremost priority right now, and everything else comes after it. So I know there's a lot of frustration. I know um, people have done a lot of planning in terms of when they would move to Canada, and they've planned their lives on this whole process. So it's frustrating, but that's how you have to live. And as always, I'll try and give a very realistic picture. So I don't expect the new FSWP draws to happen anytime soon. I would say we're in July, mid of July, so there is a possibility that we don't have such draws in 2021, but you never know. If they do happen, then probably it will be by the end of the year. So maybe I'd say the last quarter of the year that we might start seeing FSWP draws. Whereas the processing of FSWP applicants it is slow. They will try and do more and more processing, because right now all officers are focused more on processing of applicants who are onshore. It is easier, and then these are people who've been students in Canada for long. These are people who've been um, uh, on work permits, so they're already, many of them are already on different jobs. So it helps the government to grant a PR to them and have them settle in and fulfill the requirement, the labor shortage requirement that is there, rather than processing from people from outside. And also keep in mind that for an immigration application, it's not only the Department of Immigration which is concerned in terms of processing of applications. There are other departments as well, federal government departments as well. And until unless there is clearance from all these departments, an application cannot be finalized. So just don't think that just by taking off the travel restrictions, the very next day they can start processing these applications at full capacity. No, it will take a few months to sort of reach close to the processing average time or processing capability as it was before the COVID situation. So I hope it helps. Um, for those who have had more than 6 months on their processing, I would suggest that you can get your GCMS notes. You can request for that, because what happens is that if you go within the IRCC portal, and you have a look at your application, there are only few tabs like eligibility and all these things, and sometimes they don't really change. Because they don't change, you're not able to have a clear picture as to where your application is right now. Okay. But at the back end, a lot of processing has happened. So I would suggest that for those who've already had 6 months since they submitted their application or they had the AOR, you should go and request for the GCMS notes, because then you will be able to, although it takes about a month to get GCMS notes these days, but it will give you a clear picture as to what different processes have already happened on your application. So that will be a good indicator for you. And a lot of people don't even see eligibility as passed when they look in the portal, but over there you can see that your eligibility has passed or at what stage you are. So that's one thing that I will suggest to people who are in this situation, waiting on their application, and getting a little frustrated. What else? What questions do we have? I understand that I've come back after a long, so we might not have too many people attending this session, or we may not have too many questions. But anybody who's attending, who's joining, please submit your questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. Okay. Rajinder has a question. My CRS is 471 and my IELTS will expire in Jan 2020. What are the chances for my file to be picked up this year? Rajinder, I've already talked a little on that. So keep in mind that as I said, I don't expect um, um, I don't expect FSWP draws at least by the end of this year. That's my own opinion based on how things are. Because if you see, so many CEC applicants are being picked. So the quota that they had, or the target that they had for this year, it clearly seems that they are going to achieve that through the CEC applicants, and that makes sense as well. But it's not that they will always keep doing this. There is only a limit that they can do. So moving on, they will definitely look at applicants from outside of Canada. So that will happen. Stay positive about it. But I would not really create false expectations that this might happen in a few weeks' time. A lot of restrictions have been taken up. Processing has taken up speed, but there is still a long way to go. And it doesn't seem from the statements that the Minister of Immigration has given, that the other policymakers have given, the discussions that we get to have on a daily basis with different professionals over here. It doesn't seem that we will have FSWP draws before the end of 2021, and most likely the beginning of 2022 is when I expect that. And then also keep in mind that because of this reason, the first few draws that might happen for FSWP or all inclusive might have a high cutoff score. So even if it happens, probably the first few draws, in all honesty, I haven't really had a deep look at the pool for a while now. And I haven't done calculations as to what prediction can be made. But the first few draws, if it is an all-inclusive draw, I feel that it will be mid 470s or high 470s for the first few draws at least. Yasser, thanks for the session. You're welcome, Yasser. Yeah, sir, you've asked, would you please provide consultation? Yes, I'm an RCIC. That's what I do. Taking up immigration cases and providing consultation. If you're interested, I've put it on the screen. All consultation sessions are paid. That's how it is. So if you're interested, the link is on the screen. You can go on my website, book a consultation session, and whatever question or query you have about your profile or your case, if you've already submitted your case, if you want to have a document review, you can do that paid consultation session. So yeah, I do provide consultation sessions. And Yasser, you asked about visit visa. So I don't know what exactly you would want to know about visit visa. Um, right now, if you apply for a visit visa, the chances are that either it will be, um, other than a few circumstances, like if you qualify for a travel exemption, if you qualify for a travel exemption, which is normally if you are a spouse of a Canadian citizen or a PR, or a parent, or if you have to take care for somebody who's ill in Canada. Uh, Only in these circumstances that there is an exemption to visit Canada. Otherwise, there is still a travel restriction. Uh, so other than this, if you apply for a visit visa at this stage, most likely either it will be rejected or there will be no decision. So right now is not a good time to just apply for a visit visa to Canada if you're thinking of just doing tourism, or if you're thinking of just visiting to meet a friend or a distant family. This is not the right time. If you would want to apply for a visa, although there is no ban on it, visas can be applied even for business purposes. But as I said, the likelihood of a grant is not all that high right now. Your application might be kept on hold. So if you would want to apply, brilliant. Sumit, my GCMS has everything passed except security, which is not started yet. Should I consider it as a good to go thing in my application? Sumit, yes, if it is only security which is not passed, then yes, a lot of processing at the Department of Immigration level has happened. As I mentioned, and you have to understand, I know people get frustrated, uh, but until unless an application has had all different processing done on it, they will not finalize the application. And that's how you should look at it. Most of the people who are applying for express entry are grown up professionals with a few years of work experience, so you have to look at things in a very practical manner, and put emotions aside. Now, security clearance is not done by the Department of Immigration itself. There are other Canadian government departments, various departments who do this. So as I mentioned that, uh, a lot of officers, a lot of officials who were posted in different parts of the world previously, and who did these various tasks and jobs on these immigration applications, are not over there. And even when they have to ask for security clearances from some other government agencies, in many cases, those government bodies are not working at full capacity as well. So, say for instance, if an application has applied from Vietnam, and the Canadian Immigration Department has written to a police department or to a security department of Vietnam for some kind of data on an applicant, and that data is not being provided in time. Now, until unless that data is provided, um, uh, the application is not complete, and till the time that application is not complete, a visa officer cannot proceed with the grant. So and this has been the case. Like a lot of my own clients, I've seen, even I've seen this client, this issue for some of my CEC clients, where everything else had been processed, but then it was only the security clearance, and then that happened, and then they got a grant. So yes, If it is everything else is passed, only security, then you are at the last stage, and probably it will be in the waiting queue. Now I don't know if uh, um, because they say the security, and then you don't know at what stage is the security processing, but be happy that a lot of other processing has happened on your application. It is just this piece. Iron Man is saying that I submitted my ITA documents 2.5 months ago. When do you think COPR should be issued? My dear friend, 2.5 months, even pre-COVID, the average processing time that IRCC stated that it takes around 80% of applications to be processed in that time was 6 months. So I don't know why are you getting a little frustrated just after 2.5 months ago. Normally, 2.5 months ago, that's when some very initial processing happens on applications. So if you are somebody who's outside of Canada, um, then stay put. 2.5 months is not at all much of a time to get frustrated. It will take close to 5 to 6 months, even in normal processing and that's on an average. For GCMS notes, first, because you've not crossed the average processing time, so you can't have the GCMS notes right now. Usually, when you cross your average processing time, which is, as I mentioned, is 6 months, then you can apply for GCMS notes. For GCMS notes, you require somebody. There are certain websites, or you can ask somebody in Canada to apply for it. If you want that service from our side, we can help you with that. You can send us an email, or if you have like a friend or somebody based in Canada, they can apply for you as well. Yes, sir. Can we apply an express entry on basis of 14 years of Pakistani education? Yes, sir. There are two things, and I have mentioned these over and over again in my videos and talks. And you could. One is eligibility. So there is a basic eligibility for express entry, and keep in mind express entry. And I've repeated this so many times in the past as well, that express entry itself is not an application. It's not a category of immigration. It's only an application system. So under express entry, you have to have a look as to which stream you're applying for. For as a basic eligibility for express entry, you can definitely apply with 14 years of education, because the basic requirement for express entry is equivalent to a high school, which in most countries is like A levels or intermediate, grade 12. So if you have grade 12 education, that means that you are eligible. And then there's other eligibility. You must have an IELTS score of minimum 6 in each module. You must have at least 1 year of full-time work experience in NOC 0, A, and B. If you fulfill these requirements, yes, you're eligible. You can be part of the express entry pool. But then you have to look at the realistic scores on which people have been invited. Now, I've forgotten the name, but Rajendra mentioned that he has a CRS score of 471. Now, for a score of 471, normally your profile should be such that you're not more than 30 years of age, and you must have a master's degree or a bachelor's 4-year degree plus another diploma. You would have normally 3 years of work experience, and then your IELTS should be in the range of 7 and 8. So that's the kind of profile that a 470 score would be. So looking at the qualifying scores, like the cutoff CRS in last probably I'd say 2 years, it isn't quite possible that people with only a 2 years bachelor's, for that matter, just a bachelor's, if it's a 3 years or 4 years bachelor's, even, that people will be able to um, get an invitation. So if you want to be part of the pool, great. But with a 2 years bachelor's, your chances of getting an invitation are close to none. So I wouldn't really um, recommend that. Probably if you're in such a situation, also then people start looking for PNPs. Yes, PNPs are there. Their requirements are different, but then again, they've been very competitive as well. So, in all honesty, with this kind of profile, probably you need to look at study in Canada, do some kind of study in Canada, and then you would have opportunities after that. Uh, Brian, hello, hope you're doing well. Yep, I am good, and I'm hoping the same for you. My medical doc is going to be expired in a month. So should I redo it in advance or should I wait for the request? Is it the same case with PCC? No, you should wait for their request. You shouldn't be doing it upfront because you don't know how long it will take. So what if you get it done and then again, because it is important in terms of your landing as well. You will be allowed to land 1 year from the time that you had your medical done. So what if they take more time for processing, and then even if you have a medical and it was only valid for a month, by the time you get PR, and then you'll be in a rush. So just wait. Uh, uh, PCC, yes, PCC can be asked, but then again, they're not asking PCC from everybody. Normally, for a PCC, the policy is that if you are in a country and the PCC is 6 months, is more than 6 months old where you're residing, then normally they require an updated one. If it is for a country where you've lived in the past, but now you've moved out of that country and you haven't been there after that, then even if it was issued 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that's perfectly fine. So there's no issue with that. So that's with the PCC. Perfect. I don't see any more questions. And as I said, because this session I'm doing after a long break, so probably we'll gain more and more audience in attendance in upcoming sessions. Um, I'll just try and wrap this up, and I'll give some updates, and I'll give some tips as well for those who are watching this for the first time. Um there's a lot of people who ask about express entry. So there is eligibility, as I was mentioning it to Yasser. There's basic eligibility, and then there is a realistic possibility where you could be invited. Uh, a lot of I'm an RCIC based here in Canada, and government of Canada only authorizes RCICs or Canadian lawyers to take up immigration cases. You can do on your own as well, but these are, if you need help, these are the two professions which are authorized by government of Canada. There are a lot of other consultants in different parts of the world who first have not had the education, so they don't know the law, and then they're not authorized. So just a test, if you have an agent or a consultant somewhere and you go to them and they've taken up your file, um, um, they would have created a GC key for you individually and submitted your application. Whereas if it is an authorized representative, we get to have a portal where we put up all our clients. First of all, uh, the reason I'm telling this is that because these people are not authorized, they're not under any law, they're not regulated. So a lot of times they will cheat with you. what they will play on is basic eligibility. So you go to their office and you say, I'm interested in express entry, or I'm interested in Canadian immigration in general, and they'll give you a paper and they'll say that, oh, you meet the eligibility, you meet all these marks, all these points, brilliant. We'll charge you a total of this much amount, pay this much amount in front, upfront, and then we proceed with this. A lot of it is just to tie up and get that initial money. uh, so important thing is that you need to know that there is a basic eligibility. A lot of people will meet that basic eligibility. If you're talking of express entry, it is just a high school, an IELTS score of 6 all across, 4 modules, and 1 year of work experience. Now, this eligibility is met by millions of people around the world. But in a year, they are only going to invite close to about 100,000 people in the federal programs under express entry. So it's a small number. Like, even if you go and look at the numbers of express entry pool right now, they stand at something about 160,000 people. So out of those 160,000 people, which keep fluctuating, they're only going to pick the top one. So you have to be very careful. You have to do proper assessment of your profile, so that you don't waste your time, money, and effort. There are various streams and various ways of moving to Canada. Maybe one of these streams is not the right stream for you. So just don't get into it because somebody said that, oh, this is how it is. Do your own calculation, do your own assessment. All this information is available online. If you need help, then definitely engage with the Canadian licensed immigration professional. I'm not saying engage me, I'm not saying engage anybody specific, but if that is a requirement that you feel, do engage with the Canadian licensed immigration professional. This could be and also I would suggest one thing, that the starting steps would be that you book a one-on-one consultation with somebody, a virtual consultation, where you are given the right advice as to what are the possibilities in terms of your profile. These consultation sessions vary between a fee of $100 up to $500 if you're going to these top lawyers. But the benefit will be that just by spending this money, you will get to know as to what are the real prospects for your profile. Like I mentioned about Yasser, with 14 years of education, there's no way that you can expect an invitation and an express entry. You have to look at some other avenues. If you get advising by an RCIC or by a Canadian lawyer, you will be able to get these options on paper, and then you can plan accordingly. Whereas if you go to these what we call as ghost consultants, you go into one of their offices in some part of the world, and what they're going to say is, you meet the eligibility, and then they're going to take the money, and then after a year or 2 years, you would have spent a lot of money without any outcome, and then you would be looking at the right option after that. So this is my advice to people, those who are interested in express entry. My suggestion is, don't wait for any more time. Your first steps are, get done with your IELTS, get done with your ECA, the Education Credential Assessment. Because once you have these two things, that's when you realistically are in a position to see as to what options are there, even with PNPs. Like, if you're looking at PNP options, only once you have your ECA and your IELTS in hand is that you can see that which province is looking for what kind of professionals. You have to be in the pool, because a lot of people just keep looking at these things and they're never in the pool. So what if there is a draw in which they pick applicants? I'll just give you an example of one of my clients. So his score is good enough, but his score was not as high to be invited under, say, federal skilled worker program. But he was in the pool. And then we got his profile done in a way that he was able to get an invitation by the province of Ontario, and work is being done on that. So this was only possible because he was part of the pool. So for those who have up to a master's level education, 3 years plus work experience, my suggestion is get done with your IELTS, get done with your ACA, and then be part of the pool. You can do this on your own. You need somebody's help. You can do that, but be in the pool to realistically know as to realistically be part of the race, I would say. There are a few questions, so I'll take another 5 minutes to answer those. Sumit has asked, can we order GCMS note photo? You can order them as many times as you want, but in all honesty, Sumit, don't, as I mentioned earlier as well, don't stay calm now. I know it's frustrating. It might have taken months and months, and everybody wants to make this move quickly. If it is security and other things, you are saying that it's showing that you've passed those stages. Even if you request notes again, nothing is going to change. Once your security is passed, they will proceed with the decision. It's not that decisions are not being made; they are being made. So, see, if you apply for GCMS notes, it will take about a month again. And then, what if you still end up getting the same piece of paper if no further processing has happened? So, if it is only security in your case, Sumit, just stay calm, wait, relax, enjoy this time in the best way that you can. Um, um, and hopefully, sometime soon, you'll get that golden email, and then you can move to Canada. I wouldn't. It's totally your call. You can spend and um, maybe that satisfies you. If I were you, I would not do that, at least in next about 2 months. Or if I was your counsel, I wouldn't suggest this, but it's your call. You could do it. Ravi has asked, training Canada and good question. So Ravi has asked, my daughter is coming to study in Canada and Winnipeg in January intake. How can I immigrate? Should I also apply study visa at 42? Myself 12 pass, or should I come on visit visa and then consult some immigration consultant? So, a lot of parents, their kids are when they're moving to Canada for a study, on a study permit, have the desire to move to Canada as well. There is no direct path. Like if your child is moving on a study permit, they will be on a temporary visa, so they don't have a permanent status. So how can you expect as a parent to have a permanent status? Once they become a PR, then there are options for parents. Specifically, there is a super visa, and then there is a annual parents and grandparents lottery as well. But not a lottery as such. It's a program, but they pick people. They've been picking people based on a lottery system where all people apply. There is a eligibility, and then the exact number is picked. So that's there as well. But just because your daughter will be studying in Canada would not give you a major additional benefit towards a PR. In your own case, now I don't know, because there's a lot of details that one has to know before I can do any advising, and unless there is a client counsel relationship, we don't do advising, because that's part of our procedures. But you may apply for a study permit, Ravi. With the gaps, you mentioned 12 pass, your age, it may be difficult, but definitely you could apply. Or I would suggest that why not, maybe get a visit visa, travel to Canada, see how the place is, and then you could book consultations with immigration consultants and lawyers. And then once we have all, or whoever you sign up with, all your details, we could suggest. There are options if you would want to invest, depending on if you have a business experience in the past, or if you have available investment. There are possibilities to invest and obtain Canadian permanent residency through business investment. So that's a possibility as well. So yeah, I would suggest that move to Canada. Let her move to Canada as a student. You apply for a visit, visit around the place, and then meet with the professionals and see what opportunities are there. Walk through world. Possibility, please, of an electronics engineer, bachelor's 4 years, husband, sister on PR in Canada, IELTS is 6.5, experience to 5 years, not relevant to India. CRS come at around 330 only. With the 330 CRS, your chances are very, very low. The Federal Skilled Worker Program is completely out. I don't know where your husband's sister, your sister-in-law, where is she based in Canada? If she's based in Alberta, then Alberta has a PNP program, which is under Express Entry. So Alberta Express Entry. Electronics engineer. So their eligibility is met at 300 CRS. Um, so there is possibility in Alberta if your sister-in-law is in Alberta. For other provinces, realistically speaking, 300 only CRS, not much of a possibility. You should look at improving your score. Your IELTS is very, very low. I must say 6.5, absolutely no chances. Improve that. That will greatly improve your CRS score. Unfortunately, if you only have a bachelor's 4 years, then you're losing important points over there. So I would suggest maybe um, looking at studying in Canada might be an option for you. But with this CRS, the chances are low. If your sister-in-law is in Alberta, then there is a possibility under their PNP. Brian, thank you for answering my question. You're welcome. Haven't heard from IRCC from almost a year, but my biometrics were delayed. Gave biometrics 4 months ago, so hopefully it is within now. It is right now, and you would have received a letter from IRCC where they mentioned that they cannot uphold the 6 months processing time anyhow. So it will take effect. So right now there are delays. So don't worry. If your biometrics were only 4 months ago, then that's not much of an issue. Yeah. Sumit, do live sessions frequently. Good to see you after so many months. Same here, Sumit. And I know Sumit is one of those regular ones who've been attending the sessions in the past as well. I will try my best to be as regular as possible. Previously, was not had a few other issues where because of which I was not able to do it. So yeah, you will see more and more of me. I would greatly appreciate all those who attend these live sessions to post it, share it with other folks. That definitely helps me promote my brand as well. And then this helps because these live sessions, the purpose is to provide information to people, the right information. I would say there's a lot of YouTubers out there who are doing this and they don't have an education or a training, and at times it's misinformation rather than the right information. So thank you very much for your positive comments. Walk through world, you're saying that yes, she's in Alberta, Calgary, then there is a possibility. Yes, Alberta Express Entry System. And thanks for your positive feedback as well. I think we don't have any more questions, so I'll try and wrap this up now. As I mentioned to Sumit, I would request to all of you, do share it whichever platform, because this is on Facebook as well as YouTube. Share it with others. This definitely helps me. This is This is a request to promote the brand, to promote the channel. Um, um, like and subscribe, so that it gets to more and more people. And moving forward, for those who don't, who are not part of the live session, but maybe would see this later on Facebook or on YouTube, I will be doing these sessions more frequently. Usually, I do it on a weekend. uh, I would request more and more people to join in. Give your feedback if this timing doesn't really work all that well. If you want it on a Saturday, I can try and do that, and then ask questions, because it is from within these questions that a lot of information I can talk on, and then I can provide that information. A lot of people get a lot of help out of it. So yeah, that's my request. um there's a comment, and because it's an important topic, so I'll just do that, and then I'll ask for leave. Sana has a question. Salam bhai, walaikum assalam. Do you have number? I do have a number, but that's not how I sort of operate. For anybody who wants to get advising from me, you have to book a paid consultation session. The link is there on the screen, and if you go on my website, that is there. That's how it is, because you have to manage time, otherwise you can't really work on the files that I have. The reason I took this question is the second part. I want to talk to you for work permit, sponsor family. Now, I've said this time and again, and because this is a sensitive issue, I'd like to just address this. Canadian work permit doesn't really work like work permits or work visas that you have for other countries, a lot of Middle Eastern countries. If you want a Canadian work permit, and I've recently made a video about this. You can just go on my YouTube channel or the Facebook page and just type in Canadian work permit, and there is a video on this. For a Canadian work permit, you must first have a job offer from a Canadian employer. Otherwise, you cannot have a work permit. Also, keep in mind that as immigration consultants in Canada, in different parts of the world outside of Canada, you go to these consultants and they'll say that, oh, give us $30,000 or $40,000, and we'll arrange a work permit for you. We'll arrange a job offer for you. First, that is illegal. Uh, Under Canadian laws, if somebody is charging you money for job, that is illegal. So this practice is illegal. Yes, at times there are people who do these under the table deals and all that. That is again illegal. Don't get into it. For work permit, you need to have a job offer first. And as immigration consultant, at least for me and a lot of other immigration consultants, we are not recruitment consultants. We don't work with employers in the sense that we advertise for their jobs or something. There are people who do it, but that's very limited. So if you have a job offer, brilliant. I can take up the process for labor market impact assessment and work permit, like the documentation after that. But if you want me to arrange a job for you, that's not possible. At least I don't do it, because there is fraud and there's scam in it. So just for people's understanding, that a work permit is not as simple as you think when it comes to Canada. Look for a job. If you're good enough, go online, create your LinkedIn profile, get in touch with recruiters, and look for a job offer, and then you'll be able to get a work permit. Perfect. So that was the last one for the day. Hope I've been able to add some value. Hope I've been able to provide some information to many of you, and to some of you, a bit of a soothing effect that I've been able to provide, because I know there's a lot of people who are frustrated because of the delays. So that's all for today. Thank you for joining the session. Keep posting the comments, and I'll myself or my team will answer that. And till the next time that we meet, take very good care of yourself and your families. And soon I'll be back with another video, another live session on Canadian immigration. For now, take care and Allah Hafiz.